Good afternoon. Welcome to the State of the Court Address and Reception. My name is Zanelle Brown. I serve as the president of the Detroit Bar Association, and it's my pleasure to have all of you here today as the Third Circuit Court shares the state of the court with us. Before we get started, I do want to thank the sponsors of our event, Veritech, Jared Goldman, if he's here, he could stand. He's probably out in the hallway. And also Records Deposition Service, Christina Anton, if she's here. Well, could we give them a round of applause, even though they're not in the playing? I would like to introduce you also to our executive director, who has been with us probably 60 days now, but she's doing a fabulous job. Tracy Cooley, if you would stand. Our president-elect, Tiffany Ellis, gives her regards. She couldn't make it here today. And I would also like to introduce our secretary-treasurer, Roger Meyer. Roger, if you would stand. Our past president, Paul Millenbeck, I don't see him here, but he's integral to our executive committee as well. And I would also like to recognize all the members and board members of the Detroit Bar Association. Would you all stand, please? Thank you. So again, like I said, thank you for being here. The Detroit Bar is very glad that you're here. And if you're not a member, we encourage you to join. Some of the things that we have upcoming this month include our Law Day celebration with the Third Circuit Court on May 7th. We have Pathways to the Bench for those who are interested in getting some secret, really good advice about how you may pursue a career as far as becoming a judge. That's going to be May 14th. Judge Bazzi is leading that. May 29th will be our admission ceremony. And then we also hope that you can join us on June 13th, which is our annual dinner to be held at the Detroit Golf Course. And that dinner is very special to me because that's when I hand over the reins of presidency to Tiffany Ellis. So I'm not going to give you any more information at this time. We have a wonderful program ahead of us. I'm going to welcome Chief Judge Brizard to the podium so she can share with us the state of the court. Please welcome Chief Judge Brizard.
Good afternoon, and before I begin introductions of some of our people here, I want to welcome and thank you so much, Detroit Bar members, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us here in person. I know that it wasn't an easy task. It's hard to park around here, and with the all of the activities and the blockings, we really do appreciate your being here, although this is going to be available online on our website. I still very much appreciate not only your support here today, but the support of the Detroit Bar to this court has been very important to us. And I speak on behalf of our court team to express immense gratitude that without you, certainly we could not meet our goal of joining forces to serve better together. So the story today is mainly about this court and how unique it is in that it is the largest court in the state and the challenges that we have faced, but also in our unique blessings in the amazing people who have joined forces to make this the greatest court in the state. Last year, I spoke about the fact that COVID had the most devastating effect on this court because it's the biggest and largest, the biggest and busiest court in the state, and that we were committed to do whatever it took to tackle the enormous backlog and open our doors to the public in all of our 4 buildings, despite the fact that it was quite a challenge and that we lost over 30% of our workforce. And as well, the sheriff's department and the clerk's office had that same predicament in that it was very difficult to run a court with our needed partners being so shorthanded. But we rallied and we persevered, but admittedly, it wasn't without a lot of ups and downs. After all, this was a worldwide pandemic. They say that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But unfortunately, COVID did kill some of us, our family, our friends, our partners, and even our sheriff. It shut down all 4 buildings for almost a year and a half, and we came back at first, admittedly limping. We had to move at first with great caution in handling all of the challenges before us. Masking, distancing, and remoting didn't always support morale or help in joining forces to serve better together. Our buildings could not all open safely at the same time, and that was at the price of distancing our team and even some silos of resentment between the divisions. We had to prioritize criminal capital felonies as there were people waiting in jail for trial for 2 years, and juries were extremely difficult at the beginning to attain. Most other courts are different than we are. Most of them could consistently call all of their judges back together to a one location and start as soon as our state opened up. But what a difference a year makes. We've made strides way beyond any expectation on the strength of commitment of our key leaders in this court, including the judges. I am so very proud of them and so very grateful for them coming out in force to support and to represent us. And in just a moment, I'm going to ask them to all introduce themselves, because I could name off all the names of all our judges, but you wouldn't be certain what name goes to what face, what division that judge is in, and how many years they've been here. And that's the only thing I'm going to ask them to comment on. I'm going to ask them to stand up one by one and state their name, their division, and how many years they've been here. And I think that that is because we haven't seen as much of each other as we have in past years. And I would love you to see them and meet them and hear them. So today, in just a moment after they introduce themselves, we are here to describe how very fortunate we are and to have their support, the support of our court team, the support of our partners and our stakeholders who keep to the message that a court needs presence to engage with our community and to regain the high level of trust and respect that's necessary to serve justice. And we're here today to tell you about the year that this team is proud of and the collaborative effort that brought us to triumph. So with that, Judge Leslie Kim Smith, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Judge Leslie Kim Smith. I have served on the Wayne County Circuit Court bench for 21 years.
Hi, I'm Dana Margaret Hathaway. I'm in the Civil Division. I came over in 2018 and I've been on the bench since 2013.
Afternoon. I don't think this works, so I'll just stand up too. Anyway, good afternoon. My name is Susan Hubbard. I have been elected to Wayne County government for 29 years. The last 14 years as a judge. Prior to that, I was a Wayne County. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. And my name is Catherine Heisey. I've been a judge for 10 years and I'm currently in the Civil Division.
Good afternoon. I'm Darnella Williams Claiborne. I'm assigned to the Criminal Division, and I've been a judge for 4 years now.
Hello, I'm Muriel Hughes. I'm a judge in the Civil Division and a business court judge, and I've been on the bench for 18 years.
Good afternoon. My name is Ed Ewell. I have been on the bench for 21 years, 10 in the criminal, the last 11 in civil, and I've been on the business court for 6.5 years.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Goodson, judge in the Wayne County Circuit Court Family Division. I've been on the bench since November 2022.
Good afternoon. My name is Edward Joseph. I have been on the bench for 10 years and I'm assigned to the Civil Division.
Good afternoon. I'm Judge Don Knapp. I'm the presiding judge of the criminal division, and I've been on the bench since 2018, so 6 years.
And we have even more. They're gonna have to talk loud.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Cassie. I serve on the criminal division.
Craig Strong, I'm a retired judge after 43 years. Served in the military. I was a judge in the Navy for the courthouse in San Diego. I'm David Allen, I serve in the Giovanni is the longest serving judge I'm doing. I'm Gillis, I'm currently assigned to and I was appointed to the bench in 2012, so that's 12 years.
All right, thank you so much. So when we talk about judicial leadership, every one of those judges is a judicial leader, and their commitment is shown by the fact that they're here today. They're involved not only in their courts and making sure that their duties are taken care of as a judge, but they're also very committed to the community. And that's shown by them being here, and you're going to hear a lot more about other things they do in the community. So beyond that, we want to go to the slide about the other people in our court. So our court is led by very talented and dedicated administrators. And that's a photograph of all of the administrators, but we have a lot of them here today and our court employees here today. And I would like the administrators to just very quickly introduce themselves, because a lot of the issues in this court are so important, and these people help to make all of this happen. And the ECAT team, if you would introduce yourselves, and then I would ask everyone who is an employee of this court to stand after that.
Frank Hardister, I'm the executive court administrator. I've been with the court since June.
Yeah, And could all the court employees please stand?
There's a few more.
Oh, there's a few more. I
Yeah,
didn't.
go ahead. Jan, you're up.
Oh, Jan, did-
Jan Miller, I've been in the court for almost 29 years.
Court bid, though, we heard about that.
Mike. And our first public information officer ever. So would all the employees of the court who are here, please stand up, all, including the court ECAT team, everyone who works at the court. Yep, everyone who works at the court. So thank you so much. And you can see that these people are the heart and the backbone of our court. And this is why we are so successful. We're so fortunate to have them. Thank you. On the next slide, it gives those who are most recent to our court, just so that you note them. You did hear from them already, but again, we're very, very grateful for their participation. And that's why we were making this day a joint presentation, because it's not one person who runs this court in any way. And we have a court administrator who's pretty new to us and pretty amazing. And I want him to be able to say a few words to you. When we needed a new court administrator, we saw in him a person who not only was court administrator for several other courts that were smaller. And so he had to really be in charge of like everything for a court, human resources director, and he was IT and he was everything. So to have someone like that come in with the experience that he had and the talent that he had, we were very grateful for. But in addition to that, we all think that we live here at court because we work so hard, but we all actually believe that he might really live here. He says he lives with his family somewhere in Kalamazoo area, but everybody sees him like at 10 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning. He says he has a small apartment walking distance, but I don't think he ever leaves. So with that, here we go. Right.
My secret is out. Yes, I'm here quite a lot, to say the least. But when the judge asked me to present today, she said, just talk a little bit about some of the things that we're doing in the court. So I put my thoughts together for today. And I figured that we can get through this whole speech in just a few moments. But no, thank you, Chief. I appreciate you. And I actually appreciate all of you for coming in today. And I especially appreciate those folks that are online in the virtual world. So appreciate you attending today. Today is actually a small example of how we've listened to all of you. Last year, we actually conducted a survey, and it was part of our strategic plan. It was a public satisfaction survey. There were several of them last year. And we learned that the court must do more to provide services to those that we serve. Today, we provide this state of the court in person while also allowing those unable to make it to watch it online. It's an example of our emphasis to do better and to provide the services to all that we serve. In a few moments, you're going to see that our court is by far the busiest circuit court in Michigan. In the midst of everything else that we've done last year, we were able to actually clearly define the court's mission, vision, and core values, which are on your screen right now. I'm not going to read these to you, but I share them to show you our commitment to these principles. Before I move on, I have a message of thanks. I'd like to take a moment to thank our diverse court employees, county clerks, and security personnel that do all the magic behind the scenes. Without your dedication, we would not be able to adhere to our mission, vision, and core values which define this court. So for that, help me give a round of applause to our team. In 2023, we were able to finalize the court's strategic plan and identified 4 focus areas based upon the feedback from all of you. The areas include improving court user experience, such as case parties and attorneys, improving the employee experience by proactively addressing job satisfaction, and focusing on training, job retention, and attraction. The third item was to secure the funding we need to invest in an important infrastructure so that we can be productive and efficient in our court. The fourth item was building more public trust and general awareness through community engagement and outreach that we do here at our court. We've also made a commitment to return to work with an emphasis on service. We are in the office, available online, and constantly looking for ways to bring our services into the community. With the assistance of our sheriff's office and the support from the county to bring in more security, we're unlocking the courtroom doors to be available in person and virtually at all of our locations. As our service levels have increased, we have had to be creative to fill vacancies. And we've actually had to do other areas in the realm of human resources to be an attractive place to work. So with that, we're hiring. And if any of you out there is looking for a job, I encourage you to please go to www.3rd.org for more information about the available jobs that we have in our court. Please go to the website. And with that, with human resources in mind, I'm going to turn it over back to our Chief Judge.
Thank you, and I'm going to ask Nikki Wright to step up. I want to mention that human resources is extremely important to our court, and never in history has it been more important, and that we lost over 30% of our workforce, and our partners did too. And so to treat our employees equitably and with empathy and with the knowledge that is needed to put policies in place that this court deserves to have, we basically needed someone who can perform miracles. And so I know that that is going to be Nikki Wright. Nikki Wright was recommended to me by James Heath, Corporation Counsel, who also, by the way, had employed our general counsel. So we have excellent people coming from our funding source, the county, and we took the best of the best. And with that, I want to introduce Nikki Wright.
Thank you, Chief Judge Prasad. Thank you for welcoming me to this wonderful community of people. I really appreciate it. Good afternoon to the chief, to the members of the bench, and to all of our hardworking team members here at the Third Circuit Court. It is my pleasure to be serving as your Human Resources Director and to be leading a great team of HR professionals. One of which I'm looking at right now. Bridget, would you stand up? Thank you so much for all the work you've been doing. I want to touch on some of HR's major focal points. HR is focusing on being an approachable expert resource, and I say expert resource, to all of our employees, to members of the bench, and to our administrative staff. We want to be that expert. We want to be a place where you can come, ask questions, call us. We're available virtually and in person. You're welcome. Please come and talk to us. Give us your thoughts, your ideas. Tell us what we're doing right, what we could be doing better. We're open. We are also strategically working with several partners like Detroit at Work, local colleges, and other resources to fill vacancies. We understand that that is an important need of this court, and we're working hard to fill that need. We're also participating in job fairs to, one, build our brand as a circuit court, and two, spread the message of why the court is a great place to work. And number three, most importantly, find candidates. HR recognizes that employee retention and attraction is critical to the court's success. And to support retention and attraction, the court is doing the following. We're providing and emphasizing great benefits, including parking, healthcare, retirement plans, and more. We're also providing competitive compensation and conducting a market analysis so that we can offer appealing job opportunities. We're also continuing a strong collaboration with Wayne County. As the employer of our court colleagues, we continue to partner and collaborate with the county on important HR matters and initiatives. We're also proactively developing union partnerships. I see our union officials here, and we want to partner and move into the future with you and make this court and continue to make this court a dynamic court. We're also emphasizing diversity, equity, and inclusion with all of our staff to ensure a welcoming and respectful work environment. Lastly, but not least, HR is continuing to engage in a comprehensive review of personnel policies and procedures. And you'll hear more of that to come in the future. I look forward to leading the court as HR director in all of these areas and more, and supporting this dynamic team. Thank you, and I'll turn it back over to the judge.
Thank you so much, Nikki. So we are only through 10 of our 30 slides. So you're going to see the other ones flip through very quickly because the importance of these slides is really illustrated on them themselves. It's to go through the divisions of our court and to tell you what we've been doing in the past year and what we are planning to do with the community. So we have, in our Human Resources Department, hired 100 employees in the last year alone so that our employees aren't so overworked, having like 3 times the work that they should be having. So beyond that, I want to go to the judges and the civil division. You saw the bench. The bench was a slide that shows our approximately 60 judges that we have working every day for this court. And the next one shows the civil division. And I want to go through this very quickly, but it's just to highlight the fact. When I tell you we're the largest and busiest court in the state, look at those figures. The first one is Wayne County Circuit Court for the last 3 years. And then after that is the other next largest courts, Oakland, Washtenaw, Macomb, Kent, Kalamazoo, Ingham, and Genesee. And what it illustrates is that we're not just the largest and busiest, we're by far the largest and busiest, like 3 times as large and busy. And in fact, I was just looking at this slide and added up on my phone that our numbers for this last year are more just this court, 16,398 cases, then all of those other courts put together add up to 16,270. They're lower altogether than we are. And so that is the challenge. And we do not in this court sacrifice quality for quantity. In fact, if you think about it, would you rather have a surgeon who's done 100 surgeries or 1,000? Our civil judges have 1,000 cases as opposed to other courts that have so few compared to that. And our judges who start in the criminal division, for instance, try 50 times as many as other courts. I mean, a lot of courts try 2 capital cases in a few years, and they're trying 30 cases in 1 year. And so knowing those rules of evidence and going through the court, you are looking at quality in this court, and we want you to know it. Next. So the civil division in particular, we wanted to talk about that because the Detroit Bar is very interested in civil cases and how they're handled across the state, but especially in Wayne County. And as Frank already mentioned, this just highlights, this screen just highlights the fact that you can get information on our policies, that we are there for you. We've heard from a lot of lawyers saying that although they really appreciate remote work to save expenses, to save time in some kind of cases, that they also expect presence of their judges and their court. And we have it here with ever-evolving policies that the judges put in their own courtrooms that is really responsive to your needs. And so many of our judges are handling summary disposition motions in the civil division in person. Of course, they're handling jury trials in person, but they are generally here to serve you. They want you to know it, and they want you to communicate with them what your needs are and the needs of your clients. We're going to move on to the criminal division, and judges, raise your hand if you're in the criminal division. This criminal division in the last year has really performed miracles. Even though we got a $3 million grant, the expectation, you can go on to the next slide, the expectation was that it would take about 6 years to handle the backlog. This shows the amount of work they have, which is comparable to civil, by very far, the most in the state. And the next, So the next slide talks about some of the things they do beyond their own duties, that this shows the Dangerous Crimes Task Force. We were fortunate in that right when I started as chief, our mayor, Mike Duggan, and County Executive Warren Evans decided that because in other states and in other cities, COVID had such a devastating effect on increasing crime, that they would get people together in person in order to address that issue. And the meeting started when I started, and they have resulted in reduction of crime for many different reasons. I am gonna ask Judge Knapp in a little while to talk about the new building, but right now I want to tell you about, and he can add that both Judge Knapp and our court administrator were involved in, attending ceasefire programming meetings, attending community meetings, helping the Dangerous Crimes Task Force in assessing and compiling data and data sharing, and all the kinds of things that have that Mayor Duggan, you might have heard, and the county executive talking about how crime has been reduced in our community because of the joint efforts of joining forces and with our stakeholders to serve better. The next slide highlights very specifically the fact that what was expected to take 6 years, and 91% of the entire backload that the criminal division, it took about 2 years to happen, that we were backlogged because of an inability to try cases, was reduced by 91% in only 15 months. I want a hand for all of the people in the division that sit out. And now we're getting to the point of talking about our new building, which is our next slide. And Judge Knapp wants to say a few words about that.
Good afternoon, everyone. As many of you know, Frank Murphy Hall of Justice built a long history of providing excellent criminal justice for the last 50 years, 50 plus years. At the beginning of August, we embark on a new journey in a new building. the Criminal Justice Center, thank in large part to judges like Judge Tim Kenny and Judge Farsard. It's going to be a state-of-the-art building. A lot of us love the Greektown area and its proximity to downtown. But what we'll gain in this new building is a lot of improvements. There's going to be private rooms for prosecutors and defense attorneys to interview witnesses, to interview victims, to talk to clients that in a way they can't now. You can have those discussions in private, not out in a public hallway where it's very difficult to have a meaningful discussion. There'll be increased technology. Attorneys will be more easily able to present their cases on monitors. With the use of technology, you're not going to have to have all the difficulties you have in a 50-plus-year-old building. There's also going to be private meeting rooms in the holding cells. Quite often, attorneys have to have difficult discussions with their clients about sensitive matters, and it's often done in the presence of other people in custody. That's not going to need to happen anymore. There's also going to be some improvements with regard to how jurors are brought in. Currently, jurors come in through the same entrance as the public members of the victim's family, the defendant's family, and it creates a lot of tension sometimes and a little awkwardness among jurors. In the new building, jurors will be escorted up through a back hallway and escorted out through that same hallway so that we can keep those parties separate and provide better service. We understand that there's going to be some challenges. We understand that 36th District Court is very close proximity to the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, and we're going to be working very closely with our partners, the defense bar, the prosecutor's office, try to minimize those difficulties and continue to have that same fine service, and also understanding that attorneys aren't going to be as close in proximity, but through the use of technology and working together, I'm sure we'll be able to meet these challenges and continue to provide that great legacy that we've had at the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Judge Knapp. So now we're at the point of talking about the family division, and we're very proud of the family division. We have two sections of the family division that are, by the way, in two different buildings. So although we are all so committed to our community that we, of course, are committed to one family, one court, it has been very difficult, some thought impossible, to work towards one family, one court, because the domestic section is in this building, KMAC, and the juvenile section is not in there. They are in their own building. And so it makes it extremely difficult to move towards one family, one court. But I am very grateful to the judges. If you would raise your hand, the judges who are in the family division here, some of them in juvenile and some of them in the domestic division. And they have worked very hard to make this happen because it is in the best interest of those we serve in our community. The next slide shows the referees in those divisions, and you can see by the number of referees, the amount of work it takes to run the family division of Wayne County Circuit Court. It is huge, and the needs are being met because of all these people who work in the court. The next slide shows, again, slide 18, that shows that they are consistent with all the other divisions in doing most of the work that is done for families and children in this state. And we're very proud of them and very grateful to them. The next slide shows the family division juvenile section highlights. And some of the things that are mentioned here is the adoption filings, which is very important. You can see the numbers, the juvenile status intake department, the participants in mental health court, the participants in the STAND program, which is a drug court for young people, which is extremely important to our community. And I don't think it does mention that our team was just selected to have national training in the Juvenile Justice Reform Project. And ASCAO, and I know Zanel is involved in helping us attain a Richard Smart as a partner who is going to work with that. And I might mention that all our judges are so involved that, for instance, I just want to point out Judge Sheila Gibson here, who is a senior judge like me, who works in the civil division, but she has volunteered to step in and to lead the way in having the family division and work together towards one family, one court to improving the system, as has Judge Farhat, who is also here today. If you could, go back to, well, yeah, I'm sure he had to go back to court, but he has been enormous in making the progress that we have seen this year. The next slide shows the domestic division, of which Judge Farhat is the presiding judge, and the fact that the one family, one court is very important to them. The personal protection orders that is just new in February, and the amount of time and work it takes to protect our community from crime has been very important. The next slide is talking about the family division friend of the court, which has been crucial to improvement of the circumstances in our community. You can see all that this slide shows about the numbers, but one of them that is the closest to all of our hearts is that the amount of child support distributed for the year, $230,123,764, and assisting 820 participants in child support outreach, roughly half from the Salvation Army Booth Legal Clinic, which, by the way, you may have seen the flyers outside of the, talking about the next fundraiser they have. Again, they're partners in the community that have been very important to us and very important to our community. The next slide is highlights of the friend of the court, including Raise the Age and the monthly in-person outreach now with our partner locations, the completion and digitizing 94% of the paper records. The work that they do has been enormous, and they were one of the departments that were most devastated by the workforce shortage. We're very proud of them and very grateful for them. The next slide is telling you about jury trials and the fact that not only have there been an enormous number of jury trials, both in Frank Murphy Hall of Justice and Coleman A. Young for civil and criminal cases, but also the fact that our jury services department and this court has worked diligently to show appreciation to those people who are willing to serve as jurors in our community. And you can see by the utilization rate and the increase in it from 23 to 24 in Frank Murphy, from 63% to 82.38, and in KMAC 73.90 to 83.9. That shows that we care about the jurors, that we respect them, and we are grateful for their efforts, and that we show it by our actions, not just by our words. The next few slides are just the emphasis on community, talking about our judges in all the divisions and how they are very, very engaged in the community. A couple of things that I didn't mention, for instance, Judge Bazzi, she's probably back to court, but Judge Bazzi, for instance, is hosting Indonesian judges this Friday and talking about docket management and talking about conflicts of interest. And so we're engaged not only in our community, but others to bring back what we do with the other judges in the state, in the country, and in the world to better our services. So the emphasis on community, you can see Gleaner's Food Drive, the Easter baskets that we've been involved in every year. The next couple of slides are the emphasis on community and the Salvation Army Booth Clinic and pro bono services that this court has been so involved in. And the next one is talking about public safety survey and such events as the reunification day. So that was last year's reunification, but the state has a reunification, family reunification day that they usually have in Lansing. This year, we are hosting it here. They're asking us to host it because most of the unification and most of the families are right here in our community, and we're there to support them. And that's going to be June 27th here at KMAC with at least 3 Supreme Court justices, all of our judges, and hopefully all of you. The next slide, again, is on emphasis in the community and the adoption day that we had last year. This little guy was just representative of all the adoptions, but we had one personal celebration for him and his family who adopted him. We had again, a great turnout from our court members and a wonderful, gratifying day for our court. The next slide shows some of our actions with you, the Detroit Bar, the State Bar of Michigan swearing in ceremony, and you can see that was here, and the involvement of your judges, your court, and the Detroit Bar in, again, joining forces to serve better together. We have a next slide on emphasis on the community that talks about Law Day. And you see that was last year. I want to mention that this year, Law Day is coming right up, May 7th. We still need more judges to volunteer. I think we need like 5 courtrooms to volunteer to host those law days, but we always have great participation from the Detroit Bar. We're very grateful to that, and we look forward to that in the next few days. So before the close, I have one special recognition. Last year, if some of you were here, recall, I gave a personal gift to Zanelle Brown because she was leaving us to go on to greater things, including leading your bar association as well as being our regional director. This year, I want to give my special little gift of a piece of art to Lynn Roberts. We all love Lynn Roberts very much. And hope that we are soon to become her very best client. Come on up. She is going to leave us to contract, but Lynn is a consummate professional, extremely talented, dedicated, and has served with unquestionable integrity in everything she has done for us. Her word is gold, and as CFO of our court, that could not be more important. So for a token of my affection, I borrowed, I'm sorry, Detroit Bar, one of the paintings I put in your office, because I am going to borrow it from Lynn to replace it for you really soon in the next couple of weeks. But I saw it as what would remind Lynn most of us and her tenure here at KMAC, and the fact that we will not allow her to be too distant from us. Lynn? Observative justice. All right, and that's it. It's been a truly remarkable year for our court. My heartfelt thanks to these judges who are here today, whose dedication and professionalism brought them to prioritize the best interests of our court team and our community, often over their own preferences in a sometimes difficult transition in how we serve. A huge thanks to our court team, as they are again the heart and the backbone of our success. They brought us triumph by doing a job despite the level of understaffing that we know brought more stress onto an already stressful role that they serve. Our judges and court employees take their roles as public servants seriously, and in doing so, they make the magic happen. Finally, I wanted to mention that our court needs and values your feedback and comments. To share your thoughts, simply email my office at the email above. We'll respond to your inquiry or or comments, and your feedback is very much appreciated. And before I go, I want to thank our sheriff's deputies who are here today to protect you, our allied officers that were added for support until the for a year, until the sheriff's department is fully manned. I want to thank Jan Hiller, and I want to thank our judge, David Allen, who is on the team of security that makes us all be able to do our jobs safely and happily. Thank you.
So if we can get one more round of applause for Third Circuit Court. The Detroit Bar wants to conclude the program by presenting our pro bono awards. These awardees represent the core values of the Detroit Bar Association. Those core values include stewardship, service, integrity, honor, and inclusive community. I'm going to ask the awardees will come up front, and then Judge Brizard and I will come down and hand you the awards. Our first awardee is Shanika Owens from Butso, and the certificate. We can turn that way. We're gonna come down, so we can take pictures without the glass providing the glare. The Access to Justice Committee of the Detroit Bar Association recognizes Shanika Owens for outstanding pro bono service to our community through the Detroit Legal Services Clinic in 2023. Our second awardee, who's standing next to Shanika, is Carolyn Bermudez Joma, and she's from CBJ Law Center, and we recognize her efforts as well. It is our vision to give back to the community as part of the Detroit Bar Association, and these two attorneys represent what we hope every attorney will emulate. Judge Brizard, if you'll join me, we'll present the awards there, take pictures, and then after that, we'll adjourn.
How are you doing? Good, how are you? Yeah. Thank you for the shout out. Well, of course, and I'm not done, but I put out my. No, they're at the table.